Hello, this is One Cool Thing from PC Mag. I'm Jordan Miner. I'm joined with my colleague Matt Buzzy.
Hello.
And today we're talking about the Xbox Series X event that just wrapped up. We saw a lot of new games for Microsoft's new console that's coming out later this year. And, we have a lot of thoughts about it. So should we just, we could probably just talk about Halo for this entire thing. Should we
Probably
save it
could
for the
easily
end?
talk about
Should we
Halo.
save it for the end or get it out now or wait?
I mean, they started.
You're a big Halo man.
I'm a big Halo guy. I found an old Master Chief shirt that I have for this video. Yeah, they started with it, so we might as well.
Halo Infinite.
Infinite possibilities. There was we both saw a lot and not much at all. I feel like we saw gameplay we hadn't seen any of before. We got a feel for there's a grappling hook. That's kind of cool. We saw some gameplay, some combat. Got a peek at the map, but they didn't actually tell us anything about the game itself. So
there's been a lot of rumors about this one kind of swirling for a while. That's going to be like an open world sort of thing, like kind of a bit of a game as a service. And I think the stuff we saw definitely lends credence to that for sure. So you're talking about map markers.
Yeah, it didn't disprove that, but also didn't really tell us what you would do. They have some quote about how they want this to be the next Halo for so many years as really like a platform, like a live service, which we've seen.
Right. It's not. They're not calling it Halo 6.
Right.
That's kind of what it is.
Them anymore. So that implies sort of that there's not just like a 8 to 10 hour campaign and then that's it with some arena shooting multiplayer as always. I'm sure that's still there, but you have to assume there's some sort of, I don't know if it's Destiny-like, I don't know if it's a Battle Royale mode, something that they can update live and kind of give people a reason to keep coming back to for that many literal years. We don't really have a hint of what that is other than the fact that unlike a lot of past Halos, we saw a map with markers on it. That means you can kind of roam around an area and go places.
Yeah, and there's theoretically like story threads that need to continue or wrap up. Like I don't know, there needs to be like a substantial single player component, right? That's like a key part of the series.
Yeah, we got like some lore in the beginning with like the crash and the pilot he's talking to, and then we got some sort of end monologue that really tied in some lore, but that clearly is in the game. I couldn't tell you what we're going to be doing, but there is obviously some sort of story thread from past games.
Didn't we see Master Chief's like eyes in the last one? They've been like slowly undressing that man.
one day we're going to see. Yeah, we're going to see his beautiful face.
John, as I like to call him.
Just John, my good pal John.
Yeah. So that's launching. That's a launch title.
Phil Spencer in the suit.
Put Phil Spencer. Put Reggie in the suit. That's why he quit Nintendo.
Yeah.
He certainly has the body for it. So that's a launch title for this holiday on the Series X. And also the big thing that they're doing is that none of Microsoft's first-party games all their first-party games are gonna also be on the Xbox One and Xbox One X for at least these first couple of years. So
and the PC.
That's good. Yeah. The PC, yeah, also. So that's like their biggest game that I feel like we have like a solid sort of release date for, or like at least a time frame.
Yeah. The rest felt
that's coming, I think. Go ahead.
Far off. The rest felt a little far off. We didn't see gameplay, much like several past Halo Infinite reveals. We didn't see any gameplay for it. We saw a lot of title cards and CG animation today, but not a ton of gameplay or release dates.
And that's kind of the theme for the whole event, because we were expecting, just the situation this year is kind of throwing off a lot of marketing plans. So game reveals have been kind of pushed back and been kind of up in the air, but like. People were figuring like with new consoles coming out this year, like Sony and Microsoft need to really come out and like really show what they've been working on. And regardless of how I feel about some of those games, I feel like Sony did show a lot of games at their PS5 reveal a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Microsoft showed an okay amount. I also feel like they maybe didn't do as much of a sell for the console itself as Sony did. Like they showed us all these games. We got to see a lot of stuff that's going to be coming out either, as you said, on the old Xbox and PC, which is cool that there's stuff to play. But I don't feel like it was like you got to buy an Xbox One X.
Well, that's kind of their whole strategy. I think they kind of don't want people to feel that
which
way.
Is also interesting.
Yeah. They want you to subscribe to Game Pass, which you should because it's a great deal.
If you give them, however many dollars a month on Xbox or PC or an old Xbox, they don't really seem to care, which is cool. They're a cloud company. They want the service. They want people in the ecosystem. But there's a lot of people, concerned about which console to get or what's worth it or what's not, and I don't know. Microsoft didn't necessarily be like, you got to buy our new box. That was definitely not a priority.
Yeah, because also, I mean, there's the rumors that they have another new box, something they would call like the Series S, like a cheaper, like a cheaper alternative.
The branding is not the best. The naming conventions of these new boxes are a little confusing. What is good though, which you did touch on, is the Game Pass. I mean, I jokingly tweeted that this is the game of the show is Game Pass, but like the incredible part really is that you can play all these on launch day with the one pass. I mean, that's kind of their
all the first party games are there on day one, and there's like a substantial library of rotating third party games. And they've kind of baked that into they stopped offering year-long Xbox Live because they're kind of trying to upsell. They're trying to sort of push people towards like this unified service of Xbox Live and Game Pass.
Yeah, it is a great deal. So I don't really have any qualms. There's a lot of like EA has their own. There's a lot of these sort of services. I think Game Pass is, especially now with the multiple platforms and the simultaneous PC releases, probably one of the better deals in gaming. Even if it doesn't mean, if it means you don't need an Xbox One X very badly. Especially if you're already a PC gamer.
And you can see how that's affecting, I think, some of their development strategy, and that it allows them, because they bought a bunch of new teams that had stuff to show, like Obsidian and Double Fine and Ninja Theory, and it sort of encourages them to make, kind of smaller, marquee, but like smaller games. So just like have like there's always like a fresh, there's always something new on Game Pass from these teams. I think they want to do.
Which is cool because it's you kind of feel like the big budget games are like funding indie devs in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's exactly how they're allocating the resources, but it feels like, well, if everyone's buying this Game Pass for Halo or for Forza or whatever it is, throw our other games on there. People will find
here's Psychonauts 2 with
here's
Jack Black.
Everwild
from Rare.
Yeah.
Here's Grounded, Obsidian's A Bug's Life remake.
Right. Avowed, Obsidian's scary game.
Yeah, their other kind of big RPG. But I think that's a cool strategy because I think, as video games get more graphically impressive, kind of the other side of that is like the human cost and just the amount of resources it takes to kind of make what we expect a AAA game to be. So if we can kind of, if we can make middle class video games again, if we can get the economics to work out in that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, they're just shorter. That's great too.
Yeah, not everything has to justify a $60 price point then, or $70 as some people are throwing around for the next gen of games. That would be great.
So I got a fat list of other stuff they showed off here in this other window.
Let's jump into it. I could definitely go on about Halo, but let's
why don't you go on about Halo? Like that is the biggest thing.
We just need to see more of it. I like what I saw. I like that the aesthetics are like OG Halo Combat Evolved. It looks a lot. 4 and 5 got away from the game sort of look and feel with like very busy, kind of like super sci-fi aesthetics and world design and stuff. And I like the gameplay in 5 a lot. I think they seem to be sticking roughly with that route for this, with the grappling hook and throwing things that you grapple to you, and jumping in the turret was even a little more fluid. It looks like they had a reticle bloom, which I really don't like, and I hope isn't in like the competitive multiplayer stuff, because I really don't like that when your bullets kind of go in random directions because there's bloom when you shoot. That was just a small thing I noticed. The world looks big and open and cool. There's a lot of texture pop in that people noticed. I don't know how polished the visuals are. I think because of the fact that they're releasing it on the current Xbox
Do you think it's holding it back?
Holding it back a little bit. I know it was an issue with Destiny for the longest time. They had to limit the sizes of menus and things just because the older console couldn't keep up. So imagine like load distance and stuff like that is harder in the old console.
Well, they really wanted to have it be like an ongoing thing. Maybe there'd be down the road like a new version that's just like, here's like our cutoff point. If you want to keep going with it, here's like Halo Infinite.
Especially because they have that whole like enhanced for Xbox
real.
One X
Yeah.
thing. It seems the whole generation seems very fluid. It's always a little weird when new consoles launch, and they sort of straddle the console generations with some games. So it's a little weird what gets ported and what's actually a full release and we saw it with like Zelda and all sorts of things in the past for every console maker. So it's kind of a weird time. But I feel like with all the technical differences being so upfront in these generations, it's weird kind of what you're getting or what you're not getting, but they're the same game. But it's
differences, but still like a very still very strong continuity, right? Because they're just gaming PCs now. So like
for them it's easier because they're just computers.
It's not like from the PS3 to the PS4. The PS3 hits weird cell architecture to the PS4, which is just so like I feel like it's a lot easier. If anything, it's a lot easier because the PS5 event too. We saw plenty of games are also coming to PS4.
Yeah.
So.
But PS5 is like the cool like world traversal mechanics that were in Ratchet and Clank. Like that's possible because of the PS5's new SSD. Like you got a sense for kind of like what the hardware is doing for you, and the Xbox, like I guess it looks better, but I'm not sure which platform we're watching Halo on right now, and I'm not. It doesn't look like tremendous. It doesn't look really like a new generation game. So
I mean, that was kind of the case with Halo 3 too. I remember some of the discourse around that wasn't the best looking game at the time.
yeah. So yeah, the vistas look great. The enemies look okay. It looks good enough. I hope they polish it a little bit. I hope that's also dependent on if it's PC versus the console version. I hope the PC version looks better.
I mean, I'm just Awkward Games taking a risk and just sort of upending their entire sort of formula to try something else. I like the kind of open world map in Gears 5.
Yeah, I assume it'll be something along those lines. But again, the whole living world 10-year plan thing, I'm not sure how you stretch out like a map with map markers, unless there's a battle royale mode, unless there's a Destiny style living world. I'm not sure.
Would it be like the Halo itself is the storm that's shrinking? I don't know what the actual Halo refers to.
Yeah, it's coming in. Yeah, maybe you explore the whole Halo ring. Maybe the whole ring is in the game. That's the whole map. I don't know. I doubt it, but who knows?
So I think probably the other big Microsoft announcement was probably this new Fable game. Would you?
Yeah, which they tapped onto the end. CG only. We didn't see the gameplay, but that's
So from so the original Fable games were made by very famous man of ideas, Peter Molyneux.
Yep.
But that team no longer exists. So this one's from Playground Games, who make Forza Horizon, I believe. Which those games are great. So
yeah, definitely a different style of game for them to jump from one to the other. I mean, I don't know if you have any strong feelings on Fable.
None
at all.
No, I have strong feelings about Peter Molyneux, but that's very different.
Who doesn't? Yeah. What's inside the cube, Jordan? I like the first Fable a lot. 2 and 3 are okay. It's hard to know at all what to expect with a new developer taking over. So TBD till we see literally anything that's not like a CGI fairy animated introduction.
But yeah, just it's good to see them remember the other franchises that they have, because otherwise it's like, oh, here's a new Forza, here's State of Decay 3,
which is people have long said that like Sony has had the better console exclusives. So
yeah, I mean they're both, I think they're both I think they're both an order of magnitude lower than just in terms of first party. I think they're both like an order of magnitude below Nintendo. But
I would agree. I bought my Xbox One for Halo pretty much exclusively. I really did not play anything else that wasn't multi-platform on it. So what else did we see though? Fable was one. We mentioned a couple kind of jokingly, but Avowed, a big RPG from Obsidian.
New version of Tetris Effect, Psychonauts.
That Tetris Effect is going to be a free update actually.
Is it? Okay.
Existing for if you have it on PS4 or
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty neat.
The Medium.
I was kind of surprised there was no multiplayer in Tetris Effect in the first place.
They should have 99 people playing Tetris. They need to combine both of these great new Tetris ideas into one thing.
Yeah.
The Medium, a kind of Silent Hill looking game. A bunch of just kind of like, cool, but kind of like random stuff, right? Like.
Yeah. I'm like, it was a lot of like, okay, that could be good. It's really hard to tell. A lot of it was not gameplay for roughly 80% of these games. I don't feel like
it's just a lot of trailers.
Yeah. But State of Decay I like a lot because that's a good franchise. It all looked okay. Psychonauts, there's a lot of Jack Black singing at you.
They should just have his Brutal Legend character just be in that canon. But so now we've kind of seen big events from both Sony and Microsoft here. I'm really kind of, I don't care either way.
You've never been either company's biggest fan, I would say.
No, that's very true.
Yeah, I understand why a lot more people are excited for a lot of Sony's franchises. If you're someone who likes those games, they have a lot of games people really like. I don't care too deeply for most of them. I don't think you do either.
No.
But play your new Dark Souls games, and Ratchet and Clank looks pretty cool.
Miles Morales is cool.
Miles Morales is cool. The Spider-Man games are great.
3/5 of a game.
I do think Microsoft is kind of, especially with Fable, like really trying to like make sure people know they have these franchises. And
just the third-party stuff will come out on both. Like my favorite trailer from the Sony thing might have been Resident Evil 8, and that's going to be on both. So
right. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have to see. These are both coming out this holiday. We got a few months, for them to kind of put out more news, more game reveals, see
Yep.
how the world is shaking out by then. But it's gonna be a big holiday for gamers here
It
with
really is.
PS5 or Xbox Series X.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot. There's a lot to look forward to.
keep reading PCMag.com for more information.
For sure.
Matt Buzzy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Jordan Miner. And we'll see you later.